everybody. Welcome, welcome. I'm Eva Medilek, and welcome to my YouTube channel. And I am your high performance coach, and I am dedicated and committed to bringing you content and coaching that help you live a better, richer, fuller life and show up as the leaders in your life and business that you intend to be. And so I'm really excited today. I have a guest with me today, my dear friend and colleague, Illyasha Peete. And the reason why I asked Ilyasha to come on and let me have a conversation with her is she just launched this amazing book called Glass Ceilings, Fragile Ground. And in light of everything that's going on in our world today, everywhere, not only politically, but otherwise, it really is time to have these conversations out in the open about what's happening around the space of diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. Now, I know that we are in a time and space where all of these initiatives that were trending starting about 5 years ago, really trending 5 years ago, have been dismantled. And we as leaders, as responsible people who are leading multicultural, multi-generational teams, we still need to practice the heart and the soul of leadership that is inclusive, regardless of what our government is telling us we can and can't do. And that's why I asked Ilyasha here. So let me tell you a little bit about her. She is a visionary author, keynote speaker, and founder and CEO of Catalyze and Cultivate Consulting. And she's at the forefront of advocating for equitable leadership as the standard. And so her book, Glass Ceilings, Fragile Ground, is really for people who have maybe broken the glass ceiling, but they're still standing on fragile ground. So I love this title. But here's what the book says about her. Drawing from almost 3 decades of experience across corporate, nonprofit, and educational sectors, Ilyasha provides actionable strategies for individuals and organizations alike, and she sheds light on systemic barriers that limit leadership potential. That's crucial. And she's equipping you with the tools in this book to overcome those barriers. So welcome, Ilyasha.
Thank
So
you
happy you're
so
here.
much for having me on. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. I think it's going to be rich. I think we might say some things that might surprise people, and we might say some things that people kind of already lean in and believe in as well.
Mhm.
So
So
thanks again.
you've been in this work for a while.
I have, and my parents were in the civil rights movement. So they taught me that our job is to leave this world a better place than what we found it. And I grew up in Memphis, Tennessee, playing tennis, and people that looked like me weren't playing tennis. And there were many times when my sister and we walked through the front doors as the first Black people to ever walk through those doors.
Wow.
And that came with a big responsibility.
Mhm.
And it came with older folks that, have been cleaning for years or serving or cooking for years, coming up to us at such a young age and say that they were inspired by us just being there.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite tennis tournaments was the one where we walked in and everybody was quiet and we couldn't figure out what was going on. And then a Black lady came over and said, "You're the first woman to ever walk through the door, and we are so proud of you." And so from that day to the end of the tournament, they had someone there cheering at a match like it was a basketball game. It was the most fun I've ever had playing. But the love and the support I got really started to develop my leadership style and my need to ladder share rather than keeping that ladder.
Louder
Yeah.
share. I love that. I love that. You know, one of the reasons I love talking about this is, in 2020, when we're in lockdown and COVID, we all experienced the injustice that happened with George Floyd, and that highlighted for a period of time the injustices and inequities for Black and Brown people. It's always been there. There's always been people like you in the work. But for that period of time, starting in May 2020, it got really amplified and highlighted. And in my opinion, it became trendy to not only be DE&I, but have those initiatives, market your company as being dedicated to that, having those statements on your website that we're committed to equitable, equity and inclusion and belonging and all of that. And it was trendy until it wasn't.
Yes.
And now here we are in 2025. I'm curious about your thoughts of when it was trendy, because for me it felt more performative and perfunctory, I think I said that word right, than genuine, because it was like the latest handbag that you should have. For
So
a lot of people, not for everyone, but for a lot of people. I'm curious to hear your take.
so it was definitely a trend.
Hmm.
And I was the person that came in and started asking organizations, so now that you've posted this message, what you about to do about it?
Hmm.
You can't post the message and not have any actionable steps behind it because you might as well have not posted. Um, I also think that we were given entry to positions in organizations because of what happened. And they were not prepared for our voices, our vision, our work styles to be different. And I think that's why this book is so helpful. The lessons that I learned working with organizations during that time helped me build a roadmap for organizations to learn how to bring people in and not continue to hurt and harm them. We hear over and over again, well, you should take this class and you need mentorship and they need the same thing. And this book offers the opportunity for individuals to learn and care for themselves and be powerful in their choices, while also helping organizations see the advantage of learning and changing and bringing in folks in a way that they feel like they belong. When organizations do that, they thrive. It's as simple as that. They make more money. They can reach more people that they're serving because you have other minds at the table that are not of the same mind. The other thing that I'm going to kind of poke at is that, we talk about the rolling back of DEI. And I think people really don't realize that the people that benefited most from the DEI um, opening of the doors, I'll call it, were white women. It wasn't Black women. It wasn't people of color. It wasn't people with disabilities. It wasn't LGBTQIA plus community. It was white women. And it's
Interesting
amazing to
about
me.
that
Yeah.
when you talk about welfare too.
Yes. Yes. Right.
Everybody thinks it's Black and brown people. And
So,
the people who
yeah.
benefit from the welfare system
Yes.
are mostly Caucasians.
And, but the news media has done a good job of not letting us know that.
Hmm.
I managed a grocery store
Mm.
when I was much younger. And, I come from a family where I learned about truth and justice. And my dad was an attorney. My mom was an administrator at the hospital where they cared for people from historically excluded populations. So, I thought I knew stuff. And I went home after my first week and I said, Mom, why does the news make me think that the people on food stamps look like me? That's not who I'm seeing in my store using them.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
And I think the message of today, so many messages that the orange man is putting out, they're simply not true, just like that's not true. It's a rumor.
Yeah.
And it's hard to dispel because
Yeah.
the system is working like it's like they want it to.
Yeah. The system is working exactly like they intended it to, if you
Hmm.
will. And
Yeah.
so, when I look at what's been happening over the last 5 years, you know, for people like me and I think people with a brain, let's just put it, a functioning, highly functioning brain, you realize that the more perspectives we have, points of view, eyeballs, differing ways of looking at things is going to help, your company
Yes.
growth, is going to help your bottom line, is going to help you deliver better products and services, which why it doesn't make sense that you've made it illegal. And it's only illegal because of the untruth
Yes.
that it's putting unqualified people in positions that they're not qualified for, and it's helping the wrong people.
Well, I'd like to push back on that just in general about it. So many times people from the dominant culture are offered jobs, opportunities, entries into schools that they don't deserve to be in.
Exactly.
They get positions based on potential. We
Mhm.
have to basically do the job
Pedigree.
for free without support
Mhm.
for many years before they think about giving us the job, the position, the title, the power that goes with it. And sometimes you get the title, you still don't have the power that should come with that position. So it's amazing the hypocrisy in what they're saying
That part. That part.
because they've been doing it for years.
Exactly. It's either the pedigree, the nepotism, the appearance, whatever, the potential. Pedigree, appearance, and potential. PAP. So I'm going to read a part of your book. All right.
Cool.
And this is the introduction part. They say if you work hard enough, you can break through any ceiling. But no one tells you what happens after the ceiling shatters. No one warned you about the cracks that form beneath your feet right when you thought you've made it. That is a powerful opening line because it doesn't end with getting the position. The fight is still on. The biases are still there and amplified. The higher you are, the more you have to battle the assumptions that you are an unworthy hire.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they don't really, I don't know that I knew that that was a thing. I mean, you hear about it and whatever, but I've experienced it. I work with leaders that have experienced it to the point where they are broken down. They are um, doubting every decision they make. And these are brilliant people that are doing 5 or 6 jobs, but only getting paid for one. It's so hard to know, okay, I've got this title. I think, I'm good. I'm good, right? That's what we think. And then they won't let you make decisions. I have been in a position
Mhm.
where I shared with them in order to be a strategic plan, it's going to take time. It's going to take me looking at things to see what's going to happen and the whole nine. I had a board of director person tell me that she expected a full strategic plan in 2 weeks. What? And she talked to me in a way that my mother wouldn't talk to me. And so there was a dilemma. Do I cower and keep this job making more money than I've made before? Or do I fight back? Guess what I did?
I'm sure you figured out a way to strategically push back.
I did. But because no one on staff had ever pushed back, it was a problem. But what I will say is because I pushed back and then because I produced later on, she became my champion.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I think so
That's why
many
I
times
use the
we're
word
afraid.
strategically. I use the
Yes,
word strategically intentionally.
yes,
There's pushback, the angry Black woman pushback,
yes.
if you will, but there's the smart advocacy for yourself.
I have a friend that calls it quiet power.
Mm,
And I'm learning to lean into that quiet power more
mm,
because you can move more mountains faster.
yeah,
You can move more mountains faster. But it's hard.
yeah. I know. And it ain't going to get easy.
Yeah, you're gonna get easy.
Not in our lifetime at least.
No,
Hopefully it'll get easier, if you will. So there's another piece I want to read from your book, and then I'll let you tell more about what's in the book and how, we can apply it to our lives and who needs this book. So you talk about this book being you talk about historically excluded people. And some might even say radically excluded people or people with intersectional identities. Historically excluded is a term I use to include individuals and communities who have been systemically and intentionally denied equal or equitable access to opportunities. And we're seeing that now so rampant in the news at the taping of this particular segment here. And so what you give is a list, not an exhaustive list, but just to have people have an idea. We are not just talking people of color. There are
right.
a lot of historically excluded communities that, DEIB initiatives supported.
Yes,
People from the global majority, which are Black, Latinx, Indigenous, AAPI, and other communities of color. There's women. There's the LGBTQIA plus individuals, there's people with disability, religious minorities, people from income challenged communities, immigrants and refugees, justice involved individuals, anyone who faces barriers from employment and social reintegration, people with lived experience who have that valuable perspective but don't possess the formal credentials. And so that was just a short list of how all encompassing this is. And, in my opinion, that's kind of everybody except a white cisgendered male.
you said it. I didn't.
Everybody. And
It's
so
everybody, like you said.
it's everybody, and it's really fighting against the patriarchy of our
Yes,
founding fathers, if you will, and the men that are still holding on to power to kind of share that power, spread that power around, get more voices and perspectives out of that tunnel vision, if you will. So, why should we read this book? Glass Ceiling, Patrick Brown.
I want to go back to what you just said about the way I broke it down,
Yes.
the folks really quick. So many times we use words like disenfranchised and underrepresented. In my opinion, that puts the onus on the people rather than the system that had made them disenfranchised, that have made them underrepresented. And so I'm really trying to reframe that so that we don't feel like it's our fault, because so many times that we do. What I'll say from this book, it will help individuals move up the ladder quickly. It'll help you think not from a scarcity mindset, but an abundance mindset. It'll help you advocate for yourself so that you don't have burnout. It will help organizations not be just performative. It will allow you to use DEI. Be ideal is what I call it: belonging, inclusion, diversity, equity, access, and liberation. Liberation is actually my favorite of that. Um, it'll help you really weave that into the cultures that you have. Um, what I'm hearing from people that have read it is that the stories are resonating and they see themselves in the story and they can use those stories or utilize those stories to get themselves out of where they are.
Mm,
Um, and some of the stories are mine personally.
mhm.
Some are people that I've worked with, organizations that I've worked with, and some of them are really unbelievable, but not really at the same time, right? Unbelievable, sort of.
Sort of.
So those organizations that are looking to bring in people from historically excluded populations, there's a roadmap for you. If I am an adult that's a young adult straight out of college, I think it'll help you get to where you want to go faster and not end up in situations that aren't for you. It
Mm,
helps you know when you're interviewing, you are interviewing them too, and it's a partnership. And if it's not reciprocal, it's not going to work. And so it gives you a list of questions on how to move forward. It requires you to really think about who you are and what you want and how you plan to move forward. And it was a labor of love,
yeah.
and it's my story and the story of so many of us that have been historically excluded.
Yeah. If it's to be, it's up to me, as they
Yeah.
say. And what I would say to everybody as we wrap this up is, just because the law is restricting our freedom of speech and we can't say diversity, we can't say whatever else they're saying we can't say, you know, there are other words. I say differing instead of diverse. I say, other points of view and perspectives and just really opening up to it. But just because we can't talk about it doesn't mean we can't be about it. And this book will help you be about it. I also have an online course called the Inclusive Community Blueprint that will support individuals in being about it. There's so many resources out there to help people be about it. And regardless of what the law says, we can show up as our best selves in our leadership and make sure that we creating communities at home and at work and wherever we go that are welcoming, that are belonging, that are open to differing points of view and perspectives, and learn how to listen to people, make them feel heard and belong, and how to steady the ground under you as you break that glass ceiling. Thank you so much for being willing to come on and talk about.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, and thank you all for watching and listening. I will have the link for you to buy the book in the show notes underneath this video. Please go out there, purchase it, buy it for a friend, and really strengthen your leadership so that you can show up as the powerful leader that you want to be in your life and business. Thank you. See you next time. Bye.